Okay, let's talk about a really tricky problem. How do you actually teach something as complicated as AI ethics? I mean, especially to teenagers, right? It's a huge challenge. Well, some researchers came up with a pretty brilliant idea. What if you just turned the whole thing into a game?
And I don't just mean any game. I mean, could you beat an AI at its own game? Like, could you actually outsmart its hidden biases? Could playing a game help you see all the invisible flaws that are coded into these systems we're all using every single day? It's a fascinating thought, so let's dive right in.
So that's exactly what a team at the University of Washington did. They were really inspired by the power of play and designed this incredible experiment. They had teenagers play games, but not just with AI. They were playing against its built-in blind spots. The whole idea was to figure out, can play actually be a super powerful way to learn this stuff?
Okay, so before we jump into the rules of these games, we really need to get why they even exist. What's the problem they're trying to solve? Why is this such a big deal right now?
I mean, let's be real. Generative AI it's just everywhere now. And for young people, this isn't some sci-fi future tech. It's part of their daily routine. It's in their homework, all over their social media. And get this, one study found some are even using it for companionship. So understanding how it really works, it's never been more important.
And that brings us to this really important idea called critical AI literacy. Look, this is way more than just knowing how to type a prompt into a box. It's about having the skills, the wisdom to actually question what the AI spits out, to see its limits, and to really get all the ethical strings that are attached.
So here's the bottom line, right? AI models learn from all this data we feed them. And that data, it's filled with our own human societal biases. So the AI doesn't just learn how to make cool pictures. It learns our stereotypes about gender, race, jobs, you name it. And worse, it can actually make those stereotypes even more powerful.
Okay, so you have this really serious topic. How on earth do you make it fun and easy to grasp? Well, like we said, you turn it into a game. So let's meet the two games that are at the center of this whole experiment.
The researchers came up with what they call transformational games. It's a great term. Basically, these are games built from the ground up to change how you think about something. And they do it through fun, social, low-stakes play. The two stars of our show today, Diversity Duel and Secret Agent.
Okay, so first up, Diversity Duel. Picture this. You're with a partner, and you get a card that says something like construction workers. Your job is to write a prompt, and here's the catch, only 6 words, to get the AI to create the most diverse image it can. Then, everyone votes on which team did a better job. Oh, and the best part? Each round, the word limit gets even shorter, so you have to get super strategic with your words.
All right, now for game number 2, Secret Agent. And if you've ever played games like Mafia or Among Us, you're going to get this right away. It's that same idea, a social deduction game. But instead of an imposter messing up a spaceship, you've got a secret agent who's trying to sabotage an AI prompt. So here's the setup. One person in the group is secretly the agent. Everyone else is working together to build a prompt, but the agent's mission is to sneak in words to make the final image less diverse. The trick is they have to do it without getting caught. If the group figures out who the agent is, they lose. It's such a brilliant way to show how just a few sneaky words can totally steer an AI towards a biased result.
So the big question is, did it actually work? Did playing these surprisingly simple games really change how these teenagers thought about AI? Well, the results are, honestly, they're pretty staggering.
Let's take a look at one participant as an example. Before playing any games, she was shown some AI-generated images of doctors. Her reaction? She said they look pretty real. She was just focused on the technical quality, which, is a really common first-level reaction.
Okay, now look at the data. This is from the Diversity Duel game. Before they played, 10 out of the 16 teens thought the biased AI images were good. After they played, that number got chopped in half, down to just 5. And even crazier, the number of kids who disagreed that the images were good, it shot up from just 1 person to 7. That is a massive shift in thinking.
And remember that participant from a minute ago? The one who said the images just looked real? Well, after the game, her entire perspective flipped. She suddenly saw the bias. She said, yeah, the quality is good, but the AI only used one gender, because that's usually the people that are thought to be in those positions. Wow. She went from just seeing a picture to seeing the entire societal stereotype baked into it.
And this wasn't just a fluke with one game. Secret Agent had a really similar effect. After playing that game, the number of teens who disagreed with the statement bias in AI is not harmful, it almost doubled. It went from 7 all the way up to 13. So the game really helped them connect that abstract idea of bias to, actual tangible harm.
But what's really, really cool is that the games didn't just teach them this simple lesson of bias is bad. It actually kicked off a way more nuanced debate. You had one participant arguing that, yeah, bias is always harmful because it's just reflecting our flawed human opinions. But then you had another who pushed back saying, well, wait a minute, couldn't bias be helpful if you use it for the right reasons, like filtering out hateful content? I mean, they were literally grappling with the complex ethics of the stuff in real time.
So, okay, changing minds about bias is huge. But what's the bigger lesson here? Why was a game so effective at this? Well, it turns out the games were teaching a skill that is absolutely essential for navigating this new age of AI.
The reason these games work so well is because they weren't a boring lecture. They were completely hands-on. They gave these teens direct, practical experience with one of the single most important skills you can have right now, prompt engineering. It wasn't a side effect of the game. It was the whole point.
And you should see how creative they got. To beat the AI's default settings and the game's rules, they started writing these incredibly dense, super specific prompts. Just look at some of these. They're jamming so much nuance and diversity into just a handful of words. It's genuinely impressive.
And the biggest takeaway, which came straight from the players themselves, was actually pretty simple, but it's so profound. When you are interacting with these powerful AI models, every single word counts. And really, that's the heart of it. The kids moved beyond just passively knowing something. They weren't just told that AI can be biased. They felt it. They experienced firsthand how their own choices, their own language, could either make that bias worse, or they could actually fight back against it. That is what critical AI literacy looks like in the real world.
And that just leaves us with this really powerful final thought. This was a simple, fun little game, right? But it totally changed how these young people see and interact with AI. It makes you think. Maybe the best way to get ready for our digital future isn't just through reading textbooks, but through play. So I'll leave you with this to chew on. What other creative, fun ways can we come up with to build a more responsible and ethical future for everyone?